Hey there, Christy Matthews with ChristyMatthewsOnline.com and ChristyJMatthews.com. I'm broadcasting from Oakley, California today, and I hope that you're having a great day. I recently watched an interview by Lewis Howes. He was interviewing Mel Robbins. Now, Mel Robbins is a public figure, and she's had quite an extraordinary career of different things that she's done in her life. Many things that I can relate to, because I think, as most of you can relate, is that it's our past experiences that help us get to where we are today. And those past experiences actually prepare us for what we're doing now. So I'd like to get into our topic today, which is, how would you like to transform your life in as little as 5 seconds? Now, it sounds kind of like, really? It's true, and science backs it up. So let's get into the notes. As I'm always doing, I'm prepared to keep myself organized, and I'll share these notes with you as well. So let's start off with a quote, shall we? Thoughts are the biggest killer of our dreams. And as we get through the material, I think that you'll be able to agree with that quote once we get through all of this. So there are 2 modes of brain function. First is autopilot, and the second is drive. Now, the auto part function of our brain is in the basal ganglia, which is in the deep cerebral hemispheres of our brain. And this is the part of the brain that executes our habits. And these are behaviors that you repeat without even thinking about it. It might be driving to work, driving the kids to school, going to grocery shopping, and your mind is off somewhere else, but yet you still get to your destination safely, and you don't remember all the steps that you took to get there, right? It just happens. Did you know that those behaviors are called habit loops? So in essence, when we first went to driving to our job, for instance, we had to learn the route to get there. We may have stopped and looked for street signs, learn the route, figure out what the shortcuts are, and then over time, it just happens automatically. And that is developing a new habit. So did you know that half of our day is spent in habit loops? So we surrender half of our day to our habits. That's mind-boggling to me. And any habit behavior we repeat takes over, such as our thinking patterns, self-doubt, worry, procrastination, overthinking, analysis paralysis, and even fear. Those are all habit loops. They're thought patterns. And have comfort in knowing that if you think you're a worrier or a procrastinator, you're not. It is something you can change because it is a habit. Very much like smoking, drinking, toking, whatever the case is, whatever it is you do, that is a habit. You can change that habit if you wish to. Even snapping at our kids or our spouse, or even micromanaging our team, is a habit pattern. So habit patterns can be interrupted and replaced with something else. The second is drive. Now, drive is controlled by our prefrontal cerebral cortex. It's within the frontal lobe of our brain. It's in charge of our thoughts. It is the mode of what you are when you are in control. And this is part of the brain in the frontal lobe that's responsible for planning complex cognitive behaviors, expressing your personality, decision making, and moderating social behavior. This is part of our brain that's also linked to our desire to live. And sadly, having experienced this, it is also the part of the brain that, when diseased, with Alzheimer's, for instance, that is affected. That is why you see behavior change with people with dementia. Now, you can't control how you feel or what triggers you. You may rise up with anger, self-doubt, and anxiety, but you can always control what you think and how you behave. Think about that for a moment. That's just mind-boggling. Now, many gurus, and you know who they are, they're all over the internet, we follow them. They will focus on teaching us how to manipulate our feelings. But I've had some difficulty with that because I feel how I feel. And it's very comforting to know that we can rise up in anger, we can rise up in anxiety, and we can rise up in these other things. But I cannot control the motivation or manipulate how I feel. How I feel is how I feel. What matters is the behavior that I take and knowing how to change that behavior, especially with just a very quick pattern interrupt is extraordinary. This is why many people are not successful in following the various gurus and say, I just think about changing, because it's not that easy. It's just not. So what we should be taught is how to control our thoughts and our behavior and the mechanisms for doing so. So if you're in control of how you think and how you behave, you will feel different. And that is a very slight change in distinction, but it is really what makes the difference. And that resonates very much with me. If you're not going to change yourself in your head, I should say you're not going to change yourself in your head. Change comes from taking action. You must start getting your body in motion in some sort of way. Tony Robbins says that as well. You can't make change unless you are in action. So motivation is garbage unless you feel motivated. You can't. Have you ever heard you can't motivate anybody? They have to want to be motivated, to feel motivated, right? Okay. And it's a losing bet to wait to feel ready. Have you ever felt so down in the dumps, maybe felt shame to where you just can't wake up in the morning and face the day? I mean, I've been through that. I think a lot of people have had times in their life when they have just failed miserably at something, and it's so difficult to take on the day. So do you feel motivated when you get up in the morning and the first thing that hits your thought process is what you're feeling shameful about? It is, if you wait for that to change, it is not going to change. You have got to change your actions and your behaviors to get out of that thought process. And we can torture ourselves with thoughts. Oh gosh, folks, have you done that? I certainly have. Now, anxiety is a habit. And anxiety is reinforced by, the charge, the nervous system and the hormones that flow through our body that gives us those feelings of anxiety. And so they feed off of each other, and it creates this habit loop. You might see something or hear something, and it triggers this anxious response in you, and those chemicals running through your body develop this habit loop. And it continues on and continues on. And so finding a way to interrupt that loop will help you eliminate your anxiety. It's extraordinary. So you don't need to feel confident or courageous. What you need to do is just get started. You have to learn how to push yourself and leverage your decisions. Ooh. Now, there's something called the knowledge and action gap. Now, you don't make decisions with goals or logic with our prefrontal cortex. We make decisions on how we feel in the moment. We must control the moment to leverage our decisions. In fact, our brain is designed to kill the thought or the desire or the decision in just as little as 5 seconds. It's amazing. It's designed to protect us. Our lives live in 5 seconds at a time. This is where the 5-second rule comes in. And how Mel described it, she was watching a commercial, and she was not in a very good frame of mind at this point. This is before this whole 5-second rule came about, and when she started sharing it with the world, it was backed up with very reliable neuroscience. And The way she described it was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. And she saw a rocket ship take off. And she said to herself, she goes, you know what? Tomorrow when I wake up, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to think about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. Little did she know that it was proven science. This is the extraordinary part about this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. It's an action that requires focus, and counting backwards is an action. That's why you can make it a habit changer. Because you have to develop, you have to think about it, you have to put the steps into play so that you can develop a new habit. The 5-second window between the inner wisdom, the coulds, and the shoulds to feel the instinct to move. The second you hesitate, like I just mentioned, the second you hesitate, the brain is designed to kill it. So you don't want to hesitate. One thing I was thinking about when I saw this is that think about our young men and women who go off into war. If they sat there and hesitated to engage the enemy, they would be dead. They might be overcome by the other side, the enemy. What makes them get up and go out and take action? This is simply what I just said. They started moving. They took action. And there was no thought involved. I'm sure there might have been some, quick think, the 5-second decisions, maybe not even that long to make a decision to dodge here, duck there. But yet they took action and they're constantly moving and they survived. Many survived, many died. But it was the action. If they sat there and hesitated, they would have been succumbed to what was coming their way. Hesitation is considered a heads up to the brain. It says, whoa, what's going on here? And allows you to think too much about things, and you don't want to do that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch, awakens the prefrontal cortex when those shoulds happen. Now, regardless of what you're facing or how low you get, your inner wisdom is always there. And this is what's really cool. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch is not something to think about. It's a tool. Now, Mel shared a story where a gentleman got on a ferry ship. I believe it was in Australia. And he had learned about this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 launch. And he used it as he was going to commit suicide. That's why he got on the ferry. He was going to jump off the ferry and hopefully die in the water, drown to death. And he had the desire to live, but he knew he was suicidal. He did the pattern interrupt 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 launch, and he went and told somebody on the ferry, hey, I'm suicidal. I was thinking about jumping off the ship, because he knew he needed help, but he wanted to survive. Remember, I mentioned earlier, it is part of the survival mechanism of our brain. So it gave him just a moment to interrupt the pattern, and it saved his life. It's amazing. You want to get your mind working for you and not against you. Confidence, courage, and patience is a skill developed by taking action. I mean, we do that with our children. We may do it with our elderly parents or elderly people that we're taking care of. Their actions, of the young ones and even the old ones and even someone in between, can challenge our patience. And we develop that patience because we create habits around that. And we take action to do so. Your inner wisdom is a gift to the world, and we admire those who have shared their inner wisdom to the world. They haven't sat back and thought and hesitated that maybe they shouldn't do so. They just went out and tried and took action on it. And you can think about all these people that we look up to, like Oprah Winfrey, for instance, Barbara Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump. I mean, you name it. Those people we look up to and we might admire and think about, gosh, they had the guts. They took action to go out and share their inner world. I'm sure guts wasn't there to start with, but they just had an inkling that they had to go out and do what they do. we're going to close here with the 3 buckets, and this is what fills us up in life. The 3 buckets are deliberate practice, deliver your product, and fulfill yourself with personal development. Now, deliberate practice is something that I think we can all relate to. It's practice with intention of improving. It's practice, practice, practice. And then you get better and better and better. Whether you're playing sports, you're singing, you're playing an instrument, the more you practice, the better you get, right? Once you're done practicing, then you can get to delivering your product. This might be practice your sales presentation until you can get through the PowerPoint presentation and all the materials, so that once you have the opportunity to present your product, you're presenting it with continuity. And then lastly, you want to fulfill yourself with personal development. This is the part that is so important, to continue to develop ourselves by learning from others, and recognize in doing so that we want to distance ourselves from those people and those things that diminish our energy level. We don't want to be operating it with depleted energy, because when we do, we can't take action. So we always want to be filling ourselves up and developing ourselves. So every phase of our life requires a different phase of you. And it's like I've mentioned before, you are perfect right now. But life is ever changing. And the world is changing every minute of every day. And so you need to change as well. You are perfect today, but a different you is required tomorrow. So continue on working on your journey of personal development and become a better you. I hope that you got some value out of today's video. I will also share the link to the YouTube video. You may want to watch that as well. It's about an hour. Definitely worth your time and somewhat entertaining. But I hope that you get some value out of what I shared with you today. And if you should, go ahead and watch the video. I think you'll enjoy it. So take care. Hope you have a great day. And oh, by the way, you can get some more content like this on my website and on either one of the websites. One has the dynamic content that changes on a daily basis, and the other one is where I store this information like I'm sharing with you now. So go ahead and check them out, and I'll leave them down here at the bottom of the video. So you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.